Okay, good day to all students of Pablo S. Villafuerte High School. Again, this is your Science 10 teacher, Sir Eduardo D. Malio Jr. And today we are going to discuss the Quarter 2 Module 9, wherein we are going to focus on the effects of EM radiation on living things and the environment. So, I hope you will enjoy all your learnings here in our module. And our most essential learning competency, explain the effects of electromagnetic radiation on living things and the environment. And for our targets, after going through this module, you will learn about some important information about the effects of visible light on living things and the environment. Specifically, explain the effects of radio waves, microwaves, infrared, and visible lights on living things and the environment. And number 2, suggest ways on how to lessen its effects on living things and the environment. Today's society has become increasingly dependent on technology, especially during this pandemic. We are now using technology in our education and in our learnings. Life becomes easy due to the onset of technology. The food industry, health, medicine, and communication cater best services because of technology. Technology benefits many living organisms, but it brings disadvantages as well. Before we proceed to the different activities, again, we are going to try answering this activity. Okay, our directions. In the table below are good and bad effects of radio waves radiation, microwave radiation, infrared radiation, and visible light on living organisms and environment. Draw a happy face if the statement is true and sad face if the statement is false. So let us try answering number 1. High doses of radio waves radiation can cause injuries through heating. Try. Okay. The answer is happy face, or that is true. Number 2, long exposure to gadgets like cell phone, laptops, and tablets can cause eye defects and irritation. So this is blank. You will be the one to answer. Number 3, infrared can cause skin aging and pigmentation. Okay, happy face meaning this is true. Number 4, microwave radiation damages the eye and testicles of human, or the reproductive organ of human. Okay, again blank. You will be the one to answer if this is happy or sad face. Number 5, people who are working at the antenna towers are exposed to high frequency of radiation that might affect their health. Okay, again blank. Number 6, animals may die by exposure to high frequency waves. Okay, another blank. Number 7, microwaves high frequency exposures affect animals' reproductive capacity. Okay, meaning this is true. And even in humans, that can also affect the reproductive capacities of human. Number 8, infrared causes changes in weather and elevate environment's temperature, which can be harmful to living things like human, plants, and animals. Okay, blank. You will be the one to give the answer. Number 9, medical diatemic equipment and certain devices used for rapid cooking may cause cataracts. Okay, blank again. Number 10, the skin on the face feels irritated on a sunny day due to radio waves radiation. Again, this is true. Okay, you have 4 bonuses answers here in our activity. Okay, let us now proceed. Okay, this activity entitled Pick Me, directions. Observe the pictures inside the box. Write the activity shown in each picture and cite the importance of doing such activity. I'm going to give the answer in number 1, or maybe you can give another answer. Using cell phone for processing and storing data or information, or you may also say use for researching. You will be the one to answer number 2, number 3, and number 4. Again, another activity. All of the pictures in each given set depict the causes of radio waves, microwaves, and infrared radiation. Write the correct word or phrase on the blank. Okay, I'm going to give sample answer for number 1. Long exposure to gadgets. What do you think will be the answer in number 2, number 3, number 4? And number 5. For our guide questions, which of the above causes might affect the human body? Which among the 5? From 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Number 2. Which of the above causes might affect the environment? Okay, you will be the one to give the answer for number 1 and number 2. Okay, let us proceed to activity 3. Show me the effect. Directions. Identify the human diseases caused by too much exposure to radio waves, microwaves, and infrared radiation. Jumbled letters are provided as your guiding clues. Okay, for number 1, what will be the answer? Let us try. Okay, the correct answer is cataract. Number 2, okay, damage. What do you think will be the answer in the first word? And number 3, you will be the one to give the full answer. Okay, for our guide question, what human activities causes these diseases? These diseases number 1, 2, and 3. Number 2, what do you think will happen if you continue to do these activities? Okay, for number 1, we have the answer is long exposure to gadgets like cell phones, laptops, tablets, as well as TV and microwave oven. Activity 4, ready, read. Directions, read the reading resource material about infrared waves. After reading, complete the table. Okay, let us read. Infrared technology is critical in many science, business, and military contexts. It makes various devices possible and useful, including night vision goggles, lasers, thermographic cameras, communication devices, and weather satellites. Infrared waves are incredibly versatile, but they can also be dangerous. Infrared radiation has longer wavelength and lower frequency than visible light. Too much exposure can damage your eyes and skin. On a global scale, trapped infrared radiation contributes to global warming. People who work in industries which expose them to infrared radiation for long periods of time may experience eye damage. The human eye is sensitive to all of the radiation in the electromagnetic spectrum, especially if the radiation is at very high levels of intensity. The exposure to intense electromagnetic radiation, including infrared radiation, can damage the lens and cornea of the eye. This is one reason why staring at the sun is harmful and unintelligent. People who work near intense radiation must wear goggles. Large doses of infrared waves can also damage skin and tissues. Infrared radiation waves are the same as heat waves. Laser beams are composed of highly amplified electromagnetic radiation, the visible light, microwaves, infrared, and others. These lasers can be strong enough to burn a hole through metal and so could certainly damage flesh. Extremely powerful lasers are even being developed by the military for use as weapons. Okay, for additional information, when I say laser, this is the acronym of light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. And the country that is now using the so-called laser as their weapon, one country is the Israel. They are now using the so-called iron beam. This is next to Iron Dome, wherein the iron beam intercept all the coming missiles within the protected area, the coverage of the laser or the iron beam. So this is powerful in terms of as military weapon. Okay, next. Infrared waves are involved in the greenhouse effect. The Earth's surface and the clouds above it absorb radiation from the sun's rays and re-emit it as infrared radiation back out into the atmosphere. When the air above the Earth's surface has a high concentration of water vapor, as well as elements such as sulfur and nitrogen, and chemicals such as chlorofluorocarbons or the CFC, the infrared radiation becomes trapped near the ground. This causes elevated temperatures and changes in weather patterns that can be harmful to people and animals. On the electromagnetic radiation spectrum, infrared radiation is that which has a frequency lower than red light. These waves have longer wavelengths than visible light and make up a greater portion of sunlight than visible light and ultraviolet radiation. The heat that you feel on your face on a sunny day is caused by infrared radiation. Even your body emits infrared waves of heat, which are detectable by thermal imaging machines. Okay, this is now the table that we are pertaining to that we are going to complete after reading the reading resource material. Okay, directions. After reading the resource material, complete the table below. Okay, the first column, effects of infrared waves on the human skin. In the second column, effects of infrared waves on the human eye. And the third column, effects of infrared waves to the Earth's temperature. Let us give a sample answer. Okay, in the third column, this causes elevated temperature and changes in weather patterns that can be harmful to people and animal. So you will be the one to answer now, the first and then the second column. Okay, good luck to everyone. Activity 5, a day in the sun. Directions. Read the situation below. Let us read this. Joshua Gabriel and his friends went to Sagnay Beach one day with boys wearing black shirts and white shirts for girls. Excited to see the scenic view, they stroll along the seashore, not minding the scorching heat of the sun. After an hour of strolling, the boys felt hot with their shirts while the girls felt easy and fresh. Hence, they now decided to swim. They spent several hours playing in the water and enjoying the sunny weather. When they got back home, however, Joshua Gabriel noticed that his skin had shade of pink and it felt a little bit hot. After a few hours, it was even redder and started to hurt. Okay, in our guide question, what made Joshua Gabriel's male friends feel hotter and female friends fresh and easy? What do you think is the answer? Is the color of the shirt has something to do? Number 2, what made Joshua Gabriel's skin turn red and hot? Number 3, what skin condition is characterized by Joshua Gabriel's skin? Good luck in answering these guide questions. Okay, in activity 6, light exposure. The materials that we are going to use, magnifying lens, leaf, paper. So, using magnifying lens, number 1 procedure, focus sunlight using the magnifying lens on a particular part of a leaf and the paper. Take down your observations, or you may take a video of your activity. Okay, later on, I'm going to put in the description box below the link of the actual activity of my students about this activity 6, or the light exposure. For our guide questions, what happened when a magnifying lens was focused on the leaf and the piece of paper under the heat of the sun? Okay, number 2, what caused these changes? Number 3, what can be inferred about visible light? Number 4, what happens when objects are exposed to visible light? Number 5, what happens to the visible light when it illuminates black object? And number 6, what happens to the visible light when it illuminates white object? So based again on this activity about the black or the color of the object has something to do with the interaction to visible light. Number 1, directions. After going through the activities, complete the table below. The types of EM waves in the first column, the second column, effects of to living things, either human, plants, and animals, and the third column, ways to lessen its effects. So let us now proceed. Most electromagnetic waves are invisible to the eye but detectable. Only the visible light is seen by humans. Light, including the light produced by the sun, is a form of electromagnetic radiation, which is basically the type of radiation you find in the different kind of light waves. Life on Earth is dependent on visible light radiation. Without it, food chains would fall apart and surface temperatures would plummet. Although visible light is integral to our survival and is beneficial in many ways, it is capable of causing negative effects as well. Effects of visible light on living things and on the environment. Plants rely on the energy provided by visible light to power their photosynthetic cycle, allowing them to make simple sugars from components found in their environment. Without light, photosynthetic plants would exhaust their energy supplies and die. Besides relying on photosynthetic sources of food, human also need sunlight to function. Lack of sunlight can prevent synthesis of neurotransmitters, leading to depression and brain damage. Light in the visible spectrum can cause photodegradation of pigments and colorants. While not as powerful as UV light at causing fading, blue and violet light can cause a similar though lesser effect. In many plastic and polymers, sunlight can cause breakdowns of the object's molecular structure, making the object brittle and opaque until it is destroyed completely, or the so-called photodegradation. Excessive exposure to visible light, especially in the blue spectrum, is linked to age-related macular degeneration. Okay, the effects of infrared radiation on living things and the environment, the continuation. Infrared radiation has a longer wavelength and lower frequency than visible light. Too much exposure can damage your eyes and skin. On a global scale, trapped infrared radiation contributes to global warming. People who work in industries which expose them to infrared radiation for long periods of time may experience eye damage. The human eye is sensitive to all of the radiation in the electromagnetic spectrum, especially if that radiation is at very high levels of intensity. Exposure to intense electromagnetic radiation, including infrared radiation, can damage the lens and cornea of the eye. This is the reason why staring at the sun is harmful and unintelligent. People who work near intense radiation must wear goggles. Large doses of infrared waves can also damage skin and tissues. Infrared radiation waves are the same as heat waves. Laser beams are composed of high amplified electromagnetic radiation, the visible light, microwaves, infrared, and others. These lasers can be strong enough to burn a hole through metal and so could certainly damage flesh. Extremely powerful lasers are even being developed by the military for use as weapons, just like we've mentioned a while ago. Infrared waves are involved in the greenhouse effect. The Earth's surface and the clouds above it absorb radiation from the sun's ray and re-emit it as infrared radiation back out into the atmosphere, or the so-called re-radiation. When the air above the Earth's surface has a high concentration of water vapor, as well as elements such as sulfur and nitrogen, and chemicals such as chlorofluorocarbons, the infrared radiation becomes trapped near the ground. This causes elevated temperatures and changes in weather patterns that can be harmful to people and animals, or the so-called the greenhouse effect. On the electromagnetic radiation spectrum, infrared radiation is that which has a frequency lower than red light. These waves have longer wavelengths than visible light and make up a greater portion of sunlight than visible light and ultraviolet radiation. The heat that you feel on your face on a sunny day is caused by infrared radiation. Even your body emits infrared waves of heat which are detectable by thermal imaging machines. So as you can see in the picture, these are the possible effects of too much exposure to radiation, for example, the sunlight during the sunny day. Ways to lessen its effects. How are we going to reduce the effects of too much exposure to radiation? Lessen the exposure by limiting the use of gadgets like cell phones, laptops, tablets, and watching televisions may help you minimize exposure to radio waves and microwaves. Majority of our students, majority of the teenagers addicted to computer games, cell phone games, the mobile application, or the different application like different social media sites. We are addicted, even as adults. We are keep on using cell phones, laptops, tablets, or we are using the technology daily. So avoiding to stay in our cell sites may reduce radiation exposure, and avoiding exposure to too much heat from the sun or applying sunblock and sunscreen may help protect the skin. So as you can see in the picture, to reduce radiation exposures, we have to limit the time. If you are using cell phone 10 hours a day, so you have to increase distance, and use shielding. For example, the sunscreen or the sunblock during summertime. Or we can use the infrared protector in our laptops or in our cell phone, in our gadget, to reduce the amount of radiation that we are observing. Okay, next, directions. Given the different effects, identify the electromagnetic radiation that causes the effects to living things and on the environment. Okay, write A if it is caused by radio waves radiation. Okay, write B if it is caused by microwaves radiation. Write C if it is caused by infrared radiation. Write D if it is caused by visible light. So we have 1 to 10. Okay, number 1, animals may die or their reproductive capacities are affected by exposure to high frequency waves. So you may choose from A to D. Number 2, causes eye defects or irritation due to long exposure to gadgets like cell phones, tablets, and laptops. Okay, number 3, contribute to the heating of the environment that might affect the life processes of organisms. Number 4, skin feels irritated when exposed to sunlight. Number 5, skin aging and pigmentation. Number 6, changes weather patterns that can be harmful to people and animals. Number 7, staring at the sun is harmful because it can damage the lens and cornea of the eye. Number 8, microwave radiation damage the eye and testicles of human. Number 9, plants photosynthesize to make simple sugars from components found in their environment. Number 10, sunlight can cause breakdown of the object's molecular structure, making the object brittle and opaque until it is destroyed completely. In 1 to 10, you are going to write A, B, C, or D. Okay, next, letter B. Directions. Give 5 suggestions to lessen the effects of electromagnetic radiation to the environment. Okay, we are pertaining to the environment. In this part, I have learned that, okay, again, you may put down your comment in our comment section, or you may jot down your learning in your activity notebook. And another one, I wish to ask my teacher about what? What is your question about this module, or any more additional information that you want to know about this topic. Okay, reinforcement. To further enhance your learnings in this module, make an essay explaining how the absorption of visible light on Earth's atmosphere contribute to global warming. This is a very interesting reinforcement. So you may conduct research about this essay. Okay, let us now proceed to the vocabulary word or the word bank. Following are the terms used in the module. Electromagnetic radiation, the type of radiation found in the different kind of light waves. Electromagnetic waves, a disturbance in a field that carries energy and does not require a medium to travel. Infrared radiation lies beyond the red end of the visible light. It is emitted by all objects. Microwave, used in satellite communications, radar, television transmission, and cooking. Radio waves, they are produced by making electron vibrates in an antenna. They are used to transmit sound and picture information over long distances. Visible light, the only visible light in the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, let us now proceed to the assessment questions. Okay, direction, choose the letter of the best answer. Which statement is incorrect? Letter A, looking straight to the sun can damage human's eye. B, long exposure to gadgets may cause eye irritation. Letter C, X-ray damage healthy living cells in the body. Letter D, radio waves can cause respiratory disease. Number 2, the following describes radio waves except A, mobile phones give off radio waves and microwaves. Letter B, radio waves can cause respiratory disease. Letter C, people who are working on radio antenna are more likely to get high exposure to radio waves. Letter D, harmful effects can be lessened by lessening the time of exposure to electronic gadgets. Okay, number 3, Joshua Gabriel felt the heat and irritation on his face after long exposure to sunlight. What caused it? Is it letter A, infrared radiation? Letter B, radio wave radiation? Letter C, microwave radiation? And letter D, gamma radiation. Number 4. Most of the EM waves are invisible to the eyes except A, visible light, B, ultraviolet rays, letter C, gamma rays, letter D, radio waves. Number 5. What happens to the visible light when it illuminates a black object? Letter A, it absorbs all colors in the visible light. Letter B, it reflects all colors in the visible light. Letter C, A only. Letter D, A and B. Okay, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. And for our next video lesson, the continuation of the Module 9, which is Module 10, which also has the topic of effects of electromagnetic radiation on living things and the environment. So we are going to tackle additional effects or additional information about the effects of the members of the EM radiation on living things and then the environment. So again, this is Sir Eduardo D. Malya Jr. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and you learned a lot in our discussion. Thank you.